For the past 7 months, this pile of palm fronds has been sitting here breaking down, hopefully turning into high quality compost. Well, today Christmas is almost here and it's time to unwrap the present. We're gonna pull back the skin of this pile and see what it looks like underneath. Can the impossible to compost palm frond actually be composted? That's what we're gonna find out today coming up. Thanks for watching the video today. I'm Diego, D-I-E-G-O, and today it's all about another one of my composting trials and experiments. This is all about composting palm frond, something that is traditionally very, very hard to break down, but yet it's a very, very abundant resource here in California. A lot of the palm fronds get diverted to the landfill because nobody wants them. If you chip them for mulch, they're kind of ugly looking mulch. So I tried to compost it, and I based this around a study out of the Middle East that said, it was possible, and if you could compost it, and they did, then it would provide some benefits in a potting mix similar to peat moss. So here's what I did. I piled up a whole bunch of palm fronds and palm wood. This is really a whole palm tree that has been ground up, fronds and trunk. It's all palm. I sprinkled that with blood meal. I've been watering it with a drip line, and I had it covered with a tarp basically from May to the beginning of November. And it's just sat here the whole time. There's been no turning, there's been no digging into the pile, there's been no addition of any additional blood meal. The only thing that I've added the whole time is water and time. So today we're gonna see what it looks like after all this time. We're gonna unwrap the pile. And you might look at it and say, well, man, Diego, they're ramen noodles or Chinese noodles here. Like, they're everywhere. This hasn't broken down at all. And the outside of the pile, 100% hasn't broken down at all. And I think that's a bit understandable. Where's the driest part of the pile? The outside. And if you have a already hard to decompose material on the driest part of the pile, where microbial activity is limited, then it's probably not going to break down. So the outside of the pile hasn't really broken down at all. It looks like it was put on here just a few days ago when really it was quite a few months ago. The key is going to be what happened on the inside of this pile, and did this skin actually do some good? Did it protect the inside of the pile and cultivate a very nice little bioreactor inside the pile for fungi to go in and break down all the lignin and the oils in this palm frond that would otherwise be very, very hard to break down? So in order to see what's going on here, we got to get rid of this skin. I'm not going to try and recompost this skin. I'm actually going to use it as mulch in an area right off camera, because for me, I'd rather have this as mulch at this point than try and compost it. I also need to do something with this pile because I need this space. So when we get in here, if it's broken down, great, we'll save it and we'll use it. If it's not broken down enough, I'm going to consolidate it, the core, into a smaller yet more voluminous pile, and we'll go from there. So let's start stripping the outside off and see what we got underneath. This is what's on the outside, not broken down at all. In the middle, we start getting something that looks like this. If I didn't tell you what this was, I think you might guess cocoa coir, which is really what it looks like. The present's been unwrapped. What did Santa bring? Did we get an Encyclopedia Britannica set or that Nintendo Entertainment System with Super Mario Brothers 2 that we had actually been asking for? It's hard to say. If you think about this unit of volume left here, let's call this 1 unit. I probably removed 1 unit of uncomposted palm frond. So volume-wise, I probably removed as much as was here. Density-wise, this is more dense, it's more concentrated. The other stuff was fluffy. So there is more material here, density-wise, but volume-wise, they're about equal. Now, could I actually use this now? I don't know. It would definitely have to be screened because there's still some large chunks in here. This piece of trunk is about the size of my fist. That's still in here. You still have some of the strips of bark in here. There are some other pieces of the stem of the fronds in here. So it would have to be screened. And what I may do is put some of this in a flat, put some seeds in it and see what plants do. Do they like it? Do they hate it? What do they do? The rest of this pile, I think I'm just going to consolidate. I'm going to take all this and lump it up into a tighter pile, a bigger yet less footprint type pile, and let this just break down more. If I look at this, I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with the results. For something that supposedly was very hard to break down, and is not supposedly, for something that is known to be hard to break down, there was definitely decomposition here. Now, it's not as finished as I would like, but one thing I am learning doing all these composting experiments is anytime you start composting woody stuff, palm, tree branches, that type of thing, it just takes time. Like, you're not speeding it up. You're talking years, not weeks or months. So years. I think if I had let this pile sit for a long period of time, a year and a half, 2 years, I'd probably have something pretty nice at the end of the day. But that takes up space. You got to have the room to do it. So maybe if I ever do this again, I'll make this pile, but I'll put it way in a back corner and I'll just kind of set it and forget it. Other things I think I could have done maybe differently here, I maybe would wrap it tighter, try and create more of a biome to hold the moisture in, put more of a net of drip line over instead of just drip lines on the top. Try and really get the whole outside of it saturated. Try and keep all the stuff I removed wetter to hopefully help break this down. Maybe spraying it with a different nitrogen source, additional applications of blood meal would have helped break this stuff down. It definitely has enough water. I think it's just, it's Christopher Walken saying, hey, more time, we need more time here. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. This just takes time, but for 7 months worth of work, looks pretty good. Now we'll consolidate this into a pile. We will let it sit, and then we'll see what happens to this, say, on the 1-year anniversary, which is in April. So for now, pretty good progress. Pretty nice looking compost, I would say. This might actually be good at this point to mulch potatoes with, use as a cover like that, because you don't really care about the bigger bits in it. But I'm pretty happy with it. So let's call it a success. At least it shows it's possible to deal with palm frond, where before we kind of started with this assumption that you can't do anything with it, it's trash, it's impossible. So we've removed impossible from the list, and we've said, hey, there's possibility here. And that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of these experiments, is just say, what can we do? What do we observe? What do we see? There's maybe not definitive results here, but that's okay. We can build on this and take it to the next step the next time. So I implore you, do types of trials like this. Play around. Use your brain. Let's try and advance things. Everything isn't figured out, especially when it comes to soil and fungi. We don't know it all. So try stuff, be a citizen scientist, and have a happy holiday season. Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.